absolute value. Give me 1 second. There we go. Absolute value, which literally means the distance of a number from 0. And it's always positive. Distance of a number from 0. Now, the way that you're going to see this mathematically, as you see down here, is you will always see it in this form. And let me just make this smaller. And you will always see it in this form. You're going to have a number. And on either side of that number, you're going to have 2 vertical lines, not parentheses, just vertical lines, just like that. Once again, you're going to have a number. It doesn't matter what that number is. The number could be positive. It could be negative. You can have a number, and you're going to have 2 vertical lines on either side of that number. Now, it's important to note, ladies and gentlemen, that simply means that they want you to get the absolute value of the number inside. We want to get the absolute value of the number inside. And that is always going to be positive. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of positive 4 is 4. All right. Now, well, what if I had something like negative 3? And we have the absolute value symbol. Again, we're going to get the absolute value of the number inside. The absolute value of negative 3 then is going to be positive 3. In the same way, the absolute value of negative 4 will also be positive 4, just as it was up here. So in practice, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. In practice, that is pretty much it. Absolute value is just the distance of a number from 0, and it's always positive. And if you care to know why, if we go back down here, is remember just the definition that we just saw. Absolute value, distance of a number from 0. So if we look at this, the absolute value of positive 3, the absolute value of positive 3, well, where is positive 3 on the number line? Like we have this number line up here. We find that positive 3 is right over here. This is positive 3. And if we want to see the distance from 0, well, if we start at 0, we see the distance is 1, 2, 3. So obviously, the absolute value of positive 3, the distance from 0, is going to be a distance of 3. Okay, well, what about something like negative 3? Well, we find negative 3 over here on the left side of the number line. All right, so we want to know the absolute value of negative 3, beginning at 0. Well, let's see the distance. The distance is going to be a distance of 1, 2, 3. Notice how it has the same distance. It might be in the opposite direction, but it's still the same. So again, when in doubt, if they ask you, hey, what is the absolute value of this number right here? And you're like, well, that's negative 4. The absolute value of negative 4 is going to be positive 4. They ask you, well, what's the absolute value of this number right here? Well, that's the absolute value of 2. It's going to be positive 2. It's always positive, ladies and gentlemen. Always positive. Always positive. Okay. Absolute value is always positive. And if they give you something like a fraction, it's the same thing. If they ask you, well, what is the absolute value of something like negative 1/2? Well, well, just mathematically, it's going to be the positive version of that. So it's going to be 1/2. So even though negative 1/2 is right over here, right here, notice how it's between 0 and 1 that's negative 1/2. Yes, the absolute value is going to be, it's going to be a value of 1/2. It would actually be right over here. If I have something like the absolute value of negative 2.1 or something, well, it's going to be 2.1. All right, even though negative 2.1 is like right here, going to the left, the absolute value of that is going to be the value 2.1. Okay, hopefully that was clear, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, hopefully you don't, I know it's actually quite simple, but that just makes it easy to forget. So yeah, don't overthink it. Absolute value is always positive. You see a number inside those 2 lines, whether it's positive or negative, doesn't matter. It's going to be the positive version, always a positive version.